G'day students, I hope you're well. It's great to see you guys last week for the SAC. Now, currently I have had a first flip through. Most people have really understood the brief and written a training program that makes sense for me to read. It's going to be interesting looking at mark allocation. I understand that a lot of people were trying to hurry right to the end there and get those last couple of questions done. But I think what you'll find is that if you've made good decisions throughout, excuse me, the creation, excuse me, if you've made good decisions throughout the creation of that program, then the justification becomes quite simplified. The other thing that was really interesting was watching people trying to show specifically how the progressive overload was going to occur. Now, if you think about it, a lot of the time when you're creating sets and reps and resistance for a specific fitness component like muscular strength, and you know that you're sitting within a certain percent of rep max and a certain number of sets and a certain number of reps, and you might be completing squats, RDLs, dips, and push-ups all within that range, then it's quite easy to say that for all of the exercises in week 2, we will increase to 11 reps and stay at 3 sets. That is within the 10% increase. So it was interesting to watch people really struggle a little bit with trying to see how they could do that all at the same time, and some people have done it well. And the other thing I think people really need to think about is holistic workload. So 3 sets of 10 reps is 30 of those exercises, so 30 push-ups. So 10% of that is 3. So you would only want to go to 3 sets of 11, because if you end up going to 3 sets of 12, you've increased by more than 10%. So that specific 10% I think might be a little stumbling point, but don't stress, it's only 4 marks for that whole table. So I think doing it in person was definitely beneficial for everyone, and it's a realistic show of your understanding and where you're currently at. What I wanted to share with you today is where are we at, where are we going? So we are currently in week 8, and it's a 10-week term, and we have our last SAC on the last day of this term. It will be done remotely. You will be completing it online on your computers. It is a very, very familiar style of SAC. So we've done our written report, we've done our rider training program, and we are getting back to exam style questions. Multiple choice, short answer, and potentially a longer, more wordy question worth 6 to 8 marks. This SAC will formulate itself across the next couple of weeks, with Mr. Smith and I changing some questions around from a SAC that we currently have that we like. And that SAC will be very rigorous, because we want to ensure consistency, and we want to ensure that all of you have the opportunity to shine if you have a wealth of knowledge, and that those people who are going to struggle will help us in asserting what our real ranking system is within this cohort. So I thought what I might do is show you what we've still got to go through, where we're at, and what the plan is moving forward. So chapter 14, within here, the warm-up and cool-down and a conditioning phase, we've spent a lot of time talking about already. There's been a video that's up there for you. It's all done and dusted. What's interesting is, in terms of the planning of your training program, you guys have actually planned a training program currently. And because part of this implementation phase was removed from our content for this semester due to COVID-19 restrictions, it also means that some of the monitoring and recording of the data and how we update training diaries, etc., is going to be a little bit more confusing. But I want to spend at least a session, which will be this Friday, just going through any of that cleanup material from chapter 14. So you'll probably have a video or two from me just going through those odd bits and pieces from chapter 14 and finalizing that by the end of this week. Next week, the focus will be to knock off the chronic adaptations to training. If you have a good understanding of acute responses and the body's energy systems and how the body responds to exercise, then this will actually be quite a simplified piece of material to understand. You should already know that cardiovascular, respiratory, and muscular systems is where the three acute responses, which is the short-term changes to exercise, took place. But if we start talking about the word chronic, which is long-term, and adaptations, changes, these are long-term changes that take place in your cardiovascular, your respiratory, and your muscular system. And if you think about what would make the body more efficient, what if the lungs were able to bring more air in? Yes. What if the lungs are able to extract more oxygen out of the air? Yes. What if the muscles are able to get bigger and stronger with the word hypertrophy? Yes. What if the heart was to become bigger and stronger so that more blood can be pushed out per beat and the heart can beat faster and stronger? Yes. All of these things are the long-term changes as long as the training program is written to suit the changes that athlete needs and how they link to improve performance. So similarly to when we did acute responses, fatigue and recovery relating to our understanding of energy systems, this all relates back to each other. I'm hoping that it will take us 2, maybe 2.5 lessons to finish all that off. And then we'll be towards the end of next week when we really start to look at the psychological strategies, the mental strategies that actually help enhance performance and recovery. So things like motivation, arousal levels with the inverted U theory, which you've already heard about, how important sleep is, and mental imagery, concentration, motivation, etc. Each of these aspects, which I know have been taught in both Year 10 PE, Year 10 Sport and Rec, which many of you students did, and I know are touched on in Year 11 PE and Health, are coming back into play here. So hopefully it's a memory jogger, and for some people it's learning new content, but it's all around how does this help enhance performance of athletes. And that will bring us to the end of the content. So I think what's really critical right now is that you understand that across Friday of this week and the next 2 weeks before our final SAC, there's going to be a fair bit of delivery of new information. When that happens, there might be a lab or two, there's going to be some notes that need to take place and all those sorts of things. So what we need to understand right now is about work completion, S's and N's. I know that this Peak Phys Ed book has been on the back burner a little bit, as has Ed Rollo. We need to bring that back to the forefront of our mind. So I'm going to be giving you less work to complete in class, like writing a training program and this and that. I'm going to give you more delivery of content that you can add to your notes, and your work moving forward is going to be around getting your peak performance book and your Ed Rollo content up to date. Remember that chapter 11 from the peak performance book is not required because it was taken out of this year's study design, all right? And that also means that that related content on fitness assessment is taken out of Ed Rollo's work from this year as well. So please make sure that you're keeping up to date with the multiple choice, the warm-up, and the training questions. Don't worry about game on. They're for study at the end of the year. Those 3 sections within each of the chapters. The last set of textbooks I was looking at was chapter 9. So I'm expecting chapter 10, skip 11, and now 12 through to 16 is what you guys are currently working on. I'm hoping to be able to collect these back in person at the start of next term, which gives you the holiday break as well to be able to look through this stuff here. So don't leave it till the last minute because that's a big workload to put on yourself at the last minute. So just do bits and pieces here and there. But what I can start to look at now is the Ed Rollo work. So feel free, if you've got some time in the evening, some time during the rest of this class, to knock on with some of that Ed Rollo work. There's no work from me or content delivery today other than this introduction. I'm available via Zoom for anyone who wants to ask anything, prepare anything, show me anything. That's fine. However, it's your job to now be working on some peak phys ed and some Ed Rollo questions so that this doesn't pile up at the end of the day when I start a lot of delivery of content on Friday and the 3 lessons of next week and in towards the SAC in the following week. I'll see you soon if you need me on Zoom. Otherwise, send me an email for your attendance.